We all know Peterbot is the best Fortnite competitive player, having 4 FNCS wins and coming first place in hundreds of tournaments. He won back-to-back grand finals with Poyo and won FNCS Slam with Poyo, but for some reason decided to drop him completely despite making $200,000 whilst playing together. FNCS Trials is just a couple days away, and by the time you send this it might be out. And if you don't qualify Trials, you won't be playing in FNCS, the biggest Fortnite tournament. In today's video we'll be talking about who Peterbot is playing with, what his reason for dropping multiple pro players was, and who is going to win FNCS overall. Peterbot's first trio of the season after winning FNCS Slam was Booger and Cold. Despite having good chemistry with Poyo, he got dropped to look for better options, which Peterbot thought was Booger. He needed a tarper and thought this was the best decision.
Me and Poyo are split up for trios, chat. And me and Cold are like just gonna play with a tarper. That's basically what we're doing, chat.
Their first trio opens cup, they placed 11th, then in finals they placed 3rd, winning $900. They played another trios cup and in finals they came 4th, in worse than their last performance. He gave them one last chance and in trios finals they placed 10th. All very good placements, but for a former FNCS champ and a regular first place winner, these placements weren't good enough. After Booger got dropped, he did not take this lightly. He was seen in Discord DMs very frustrated and said he'll be full griefing Peterbot by landing on him. He wasted no time and moved on to his second trio, which was Bolts and Poyo, which makes sense because Poyo was his duo and Bolt started to get very known for his fast mechanics and game awareness. In their first trio finals they placed top 6, winning $300. Then 3rd place, his best placement so far, with a new trio. Then just after this, Peterbot drops them both. I don't know how this makes sense, but Peterbot must have not felt the vibes with this trio. His 3rd trio being Khanada and Acorn, in finals they placed 1st, winning $3,000, so it seems somehow he made the right decision. But whilst playing this trio match, Khanada was doing anything so he doesn't get dropped.
Gold Nikki.
Oh my god!
Spats. You want give me your purple spats. I'll upgrade. Let me go upgrade.
Pedal. And I'm dropping 6 minis here. Extra shock as well.
I have no movement anymore, guys.
Here, take it. Take this. Take our promise.
As seen, he would upgrade guns and just full glaze Peterbot. Although they were joking around, they still managed to win. Next trio finals they placed 3rd, which still isn't bad. 2nd place was Rapid, Poyo and Bolts, then 1st place was Ages, Ritual and Cold. So above him were previous people he dropped to play with others. The week after they placed 1st place again, winning 3k each. 2nd place was Rapid, Poyo and Bolts. 3rd place was Iamzo, Mason and Batman Booger. After coming 1st twice and a 3rd once, they all got dropped, and this was the same day that they won that tournament. Now I sort of see why, because Khanada is an IGL and very controlling, and sometimes Peterbot wants to do his own thing and frag out. Also they were just glazing Peterbot the whole time despite it being all jokes.
Oh my.
Bro, he's gonna drop this.
Nah, I'm so
Get
sorry.
the aura out of his vein.
I'm so sorry. Without the team?
Where?
Where? Go! You're so good.
And in my opinion, Acorn isn't the strongest of players. This is now his 4th trio he is moving on to. Many people are saying the reason for him playing with so many trios is to test out his options. But not only that, he's playing with the top players and dropping them, he is learning each one of their playstyles and getting inside information, what they do throughout the game. So that's already giving him an advantage, but he's also splitting up these players since they are having to find a completely new trio to play with and perform well. During him doing all this snaking, FNCS was about a month and a couple weeks away, so this gave him enough time to go through a couple trios and see out his options. It's a dirty play but smart in his book, because he obviously only settles for coming 1st place. And if he has the opportunity to go through the top tier pros and see who works out best, I mean he might as well, which he has done so. His 4th trio, like I was saying, is Cold and Rituals. In the opens and finals they came 1st place, which he didn't manage to do with any previous trios he played with. And that's all the trio cups he played up to now. But I won't be surprised if just 1 week before FNCS starts, someone will be getting dropped in his trio. If they make some slight mistake, he may be having second thoughts. And I've heard Frantic is now dating Cold, so we'll see what happens. Now that's all for trio talk for now. Let's talk about him as a teammate. In game he always puts up the most damage and can clutch up as a solo if necessary, but if you aren't getting kills or hitting damage yourself, he'll bring you up for that and put you down for it. A prime example is when Peterbot plays cross region with Ree, and some other pro, usually being Khanada or Booger. It may be Peterbot joking around, but he makes sure you know you're playing worse than he is.
Got it? I got it. Get out. Your fours, man.
Rate.
Bro, what am I watching?
I got masked though.
You are brain dead.
Listen.
Also, Peterbot's ego is massive. I see why, because of all the tournaments he has won, but he'll expect you to revive him instantly even if you are mid-fight, drop mats whenever he is low on them even though he isn't topping anymore, and if his whole team dies he ends up blaming them, so whoever Peterbot is playing with has high pressure to perform well and not make any mistakes. But I guess that's what you would expect from a team that's come in first place consistently. And if you want to win a big tournament like FNCS, everyone needs to be held accountable and play their role to maximum standards. I'm going to talk who I personally think is the best top 5 Fortnite players for NA, but for now let's discuss where all the trios are landing and about FNCS. During FNCS, Siphon will be enabled, but it's only 75 health over 5 seconds. Now this is good, but it doesn't make much sense. Fortnite done the Siphon trials in Chapter 5 just before the new season, and this was to see what the community would pick for the best version of Siphon. And the result was 50 plus Siphon, so this could be 50 health or short, depending on your HP, which seems like the most fair one out of them all. But for some reason we will be getting 75 health only. This will be good for solo clutches and end zones, but for the players who want to be rewarded with shield, this won't be the case. Drop a like if you want to see OG Siphon to return. Now Siphon is better than no Siphon, I'm sure we can all agree on that. But in the tweet that they mentioned that it's only enabled throughout FNCS Major 1, so what about FNCS Major 2? Another update which Fortnite Competitive confirmed is forecast towers will now be disabled in tournaments. Now I personally think this is a good thing, because that means every team has a fair advantage, and no one knows future zones. Also it would take about 10 minutes for 3 teams to fight at forecast, because they'll all be scared and play slow, so they would wait in zone, which is just boring to watch. Fortnite Competitive also added a major rule to prevent cheaters competing in FNCS. You must have played 14 different tournaments within the last 180 days, and if you play on different regions that will count. So for the people who do want to play, this should be pretty easy to enter, and for the cheaters, hopefully they start banning them throughout these tournaments. December 7th is when FNCS trials will begin, so let's talk about where these pros are landing. Khanada, Acorn and Aegis will be landing Night Shift Forest. Clicks, Rise and Moz will be landing Warrior's Watch just outside of the forest. Peterbot, Cold and Rich will be landing Brutal Boxcars, and says he'll be going for Train plus Forecast. As I mentioned earlier, Forecast is no longer in tournaments, but it shows how confident he is because in a tweet he says he doesn't care which one, telling us he sees no one as a threat, and then he'll be contesting Train for the Mythic. But it'll be random spawns for the Train. Booger, Re and Freds will be landing at Seaport City, and lastly, Poyo, Rapid and Bolts will be landing at Demon Dojo. So all these top tier teams are landing quite far away from each other. This is interesting because they can all loot separate ways and be fully stacked. Obviously they'll be conned by others, but I'm sure these top tier teams will be the ones making it out on top. Now it's time to discuss who I think is top 5 best NA pros. Taken first will be Peterbot, which is obvious, he has many results to show for this. Taken second place is Khanada. He places well at every tournament. Almost all the time he is on the top 5. I'm not sure if he is still playing the role as an IGL, but if he is, that makes him an even better player. Taking the responsibility to make all the plays and rotates isn't the easiest. He just overall is a very smart player and a great fighter. Also not to mention that FNCS winner, he can adapt very well in any scenario. Taking third place is Moz. He keeps moving from OC to NA back and forth, but for FNCS he'll be competing in NA. He's the most consistent solo Cash Cup winner and is the all-time highest winner. As well as a 3x FNCS champ, not too long ago he won the Esports World Cup for XSET with 400k prize pool. His fighting ability is great and his aim is very questionable. Taking fourth place is Cold, a 2x FNCS winner and also an Esports World Cup winner joined with Moz, since they were playing on the same team. Cold recently took the number 1 spot for the most damage dealt during a trio final game. Usually you would see Peterbot taking the spot, but you can see many pros in this list and Cold is in at the top. Not to mention Cold has many first place wins. Taking the 5th and final spot is Poyo. The best teammate of Peterbot's and himself has 3 FNCS wins. The most recent win in FNCS LAN, his recent placements are all averaging top 5 and under, But if he wants to work for that #1 spot on the leaderboard, his trio needs to start getting the chemistry and their confidence up. Notice how I didn't mention clicks in this top 5 list. There's many reasons to obvious him not having an FNCS win, but you don't necessarily need to win FNCS to be a top 5 pro. Clicks on competitive compared to creative and in-game is completely different. He has a very weird playstyle and most of the time is nervous. He waits until his teammates makes the call, which makes sense because he's not an IGL, but I see Clicks very shaky during FNCS. It may be the pressure of his stream or the chat, but he needs to put that aside and seriously lock in. Peterbot said himself he wouldn't play with Clicks in FNCS even if he got paid $350,000. I think it's just something about Clicks' vibe and playstyle he needs to work on overall.
Clicks could pay me like 250 grand, I wouldn't do it.
What?
250 cash.
I don't need that. I don't.
350k cash.
Bro,
no
one
tax, bro.
FNCS?
You're taking that in a second.
Bro, I'm gonna be miserable. Like what? I'd rather just have fun and win everything.
I want to see Clicks consistently take first place in solo cash cup finals, but to do this he needs to put his head down. He also has recently shared that he has a girlfriend now, so maybe he's spending more time with her. It's good to have a social life, but if Clicks wants to win an FNCS in his career, he isn't heading down the right direction. And maybe this could be the same with Cold. Clicks is playing with Moz, a very skilled player as I've mentioned before, but for now I only see the trio placing top 8. You could debate that Verno is also the worst teammate, since he crashes out a lot and screams at them every time, but despite that he is loyal to his trio and he hasn't moved on to 4 trios in the space of less than a month. And Verno's crash outs most of the time are pretty valid since his teammates make dumb plays that cost the game. Peterbot also recently just placed first place in the first tournament of Chapter 6, being the Performance Evolution Cup with Cold and Ritual. So his trio is looking strong, but let's see if he makes any last minute changes or sticks with them. You could also argue Ninja's the worst teammate because when playing with him he'll shout at you even if it's for something minor.
Hey, thanks for the comms, Tim. You getting knocked and being 2v3. Appreciate it, Tim. Could have been a 3v3. You're so fucking.
We know he doesn't play competitive, but in general he is a competitive player and wants to win every game. But that's just the type of player he is and wants to perform well for his stream, which makes sense. And I guess a couple crash outs here and there is expected, but I'll still put Peterbot at the #1 spot since what he's done in the last couple of months. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next video guys. Peace.